Hi, it's Ina here, and just recently I started working with these larger size art journal pages, and I'm in need of a journal to keep this in when I am done with them. Now, so far, my art journal pages were normal size, so I would use a folder, I would embellish it a bit, and then use these binding rings to keep my pages just by putting two holes, and that was pretty easy and worked great. Now, for these bigger pages, I'm thinking of treating them more like a bound journal where I make a spread all across with a fold in the middle. But of course, to make this work, I will have to come up with a different kind of binding. Now, while browsing, I found a couple of really interesting videos where these two ladies made junk journals using file folders. And some of their ideas were really great. And with the help of those and a few ideas of my own, I'm hoping to create a workable folder. Their links will be in my description box. So I will use file folders as well, 5 of them. And as you see here, I made little spines in each one of them, not more than a ½ inch wide. I also gessoed the inside of each one of them, and I want to put a little color on them. Now, this is a very fast and quick way to add a little bit of interest. They don't have to be masterpieces. I have to do 5 of them, but I do want them to look a little fun. I am using dilution paints and just my credit card to add two colors to each of the folders. So here the base coat is all done. I, use different colors for each folder. And I also want to add a little more interest. So here's some stenciling. Mostly I use gesso and some metallic paint, but I'm also doing a little stamping using my archival ink. Now I know usually I put music on for you, but this one was a real job to edit. There's so many details to it, so I'm thinking of just chatting with you while you watch this and hopefully enjoy the process. So I did the same type of stenciling and stamping on each of the folders. So even though the color is different on the base coat, the stamping is all the same. This way they're a little bit less crazy than if I make each one completely different. So after I was done with all that and everything is dry, I folded them back to their original state, and now I need to connect them with each other. Now I'm using double-sided tape for the very edge. It just makes it easier to line it up and secure it really well. But I'm also using tacky glue, not only for the sides because I'm creating a pocket, but also a second line right next to the double-sided tape. That way, whatever I may keep in these pockets won't get stuck to the tape at the bottom. So here I am putting them together, trying to line them up real straight, and it's quite easy, not too hard. And by gluing down the sides, as you see, I created a pocket. Now, when I was done with the first step, I realized my pocket was looking a little bit sad there and needed some colors. So I opened it again, added a little color, and I did this to all the folders. I didn't color it all the way into the bottom of the pocket, just the top, maybe 3-4 inches. And then I put the rest of the folders together the same way. So here they're all done, the pockets are all colored, and they're lining up quite nicely. There you see the 5 spines. Now I want to make some holes because I want to insert some grommets at the end. So these holes will be very easy to find. So when I will sew in my finished pages, I have no problem lining it up. So here comes my crocodile for hole punching. And as you see, I made those holes in a little bit of a pattern. I thought it would be more fun this way. Now here's some duct tape to strengthen the spine. And even though I am covering up the holes, having them there will help me later on to line up my grommets way easier. So I'm just trimming off the excess here, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. But I did realize at this point that the spine is rather soft, so I am adding an extra piece of stiff cardboard. And because I have duct tape there, I'm actually using E6000, just thinking it's a little stronger than my tacky glue to keep it all together. So a little bit of pressure, and I'm going through each one of the folders just with a Sharpie, just to kind of press it all down and yeah, let it dry really well. Now I have this piece of linen cloth, which I will use for the cover, and I cut it to size, a little bit bigger than the book, but not too much. And to make it usable, I cover it in a lot of gesso. This will make it rather stiff and sturdy, but also will let me color on it really easily. So now comes again more stenciling and stamping, but a lot of it. This took me quite a while, although it was a lot of fun. Because I started with a white background, it took a lot of steps to kind of bring the colors all together and make it look complete. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time on it, and I spent just as much time cleaning up my art room when I was done. There were stencils and paint and God knows what everywhere, including myself on my hands. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Sometimes it's just nice to do some loose, messy, colorful something where you don't have to think a whole lot or do a lot of planning. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So more stamping, I'm using, as you see, a lot of stencils, but also wine corks. I used some little stamps I had. I did some marks with my Sharpies. I used, again, mostly the dilution paints, but also some gesso, a little bit of glimmer mist, all kinds of things to kind of bring it all together. I went probably through all my suitable stencils, and yeah, I love the results. I love the way it came out, and I was amazed how sturdy this piece of cloth became when I was all done. So a few more touches. Every time I thought I was done, I looked at it and I thought, it needs a little more. So yeah, I went through all my colors and everything imaginable went on this cover. And then I used some gesso and my hard bristle brush to do the edges. And of course, it all needed to dry really well, a couple more little spots. And well, this is the way it came out, pretty cool. So I was quite pleased the way it looked. And after it was all dry, I attached these ribbons I want to use for the closure. I used some duct tape just to keep them in place while I sew around the whole thing. So I took my machine and I went around 3 times, and I purposely didn't make it straight. I just wanted it to have the stitching and, very loose stitching. So now my cover is all done. It's really sturdy and feels great to the touch. And all I need to do is glue it all together. I just had to make sure to center my spine inside the cover. And I used tacky glue as well as some school glue to saturate it really well, including the spine, and to glue it all together. Now, my cloth did lose a little bit of shape when I was doing all the painting, I guess, and through the gesso. So it isn't perfectly straight, but honestly, I didn't really mind it so much. So here goes one side, and then, of course, I'm also doing the other side and put it all together. So a lot of glue because I didn't want it to come apart. I also, as you can see, used again a lot of my little clips to hold it all together while it was drying. A little more glue right on the edges, and I weighed it down with some books, and here it is all dry, and it came out pretty nice and straight and sturdy. So yeah, I was quite pleased with it. But now I need to put the holes back in. Because I made the holes earlier, it's very easy for me to find them now. So I'm repunching them, and then I'm also putting grommets in. Now I cut a lot of that out because it is a little tedious. It was a little hard to see, but yeah, I got them all in there. So I think this is the last one or two. And here you can see really nicely how they are in a little pattern. And well, it's pretty much done. And I went ahead and put some paper in it. For now, 3 folded pages in each of the little folders. Now, these folders really give it some extra sturdiness rather than using just one folder. All that cardboard right so in the middle gives this folder a lot of strength. So here was a page I just completed, which is done on this bigger size. So I'm marking the holes where my grommets are. I'm taking it's just some crafter's twine. And all I have to do, go from the outside, putting a little clip at the end so it doesn't slip through, and then through my little mark into the page. And because my grommets are exactly an inch apart, you can pretty much figure where you need to go back out, then back through the grommet. And now all I need to do is tie it up. Now, if you line up your paper and you mark it, then the grommets will help to line it up perfectly where, you don't have to do a lot of calculating or trying to, adjust your paper. And that was the whole idea, that when I'm done with one page and I sew it in, that it's a very quick little thing I can do easily. So the bottom, same thing again, just go through the marked hole, and it takes just about an inch. You come back out, back through the grommet, and tie it up again. Now I can easily put 3 pages through each set of grommets for sure, maybe more. But as it is now, I have 5 folders with 3 pages each, so that's 15 large art journal spreads I can make in this book, and that should last me for quite a while. So here, as you see, it's in there really nice and straight. And yeah, I'm quite happy with it. Now the top strings, I think I'm going to leave them. Maybe I'll put some beads on it or some embellishment. And the bottom strings I will just cut shorter. Now eventually there are going to be a lot of strings as I sew each of my pages in here, but I am sure I will come up with some idea of how to pretty that up. So my big art journal is all completed, and my first page is in here nice and straight. I also went ahead and I folded the little file folder flaps towards the inside those pockets I created, just because they were sticking out a bit too far for my taste. I really like the idea of being able to work loose leaf, but then bind my art journal pages in a journal with proper stitches and so on. I hope you like the idea as well. Bye bye for now.